Hey everyone, Infinite Solves here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to solve the Rubik's Cube one-handed. No, I suck at one hand. Anyways, today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to solve the Rubik's Cube using beginner's Roux method. This method is going to be a very simple version of the actual Roux method. Sorry for the echo. Anyways, so we will be learning beginner's CMLL, which solves the corner to a state where you have to do a J-perm or Y-perm to complete the step. In Roux, there's actually full CMLL with like around 70 something cases. I'm not sure how many algorithms there are, but I'll be teaching full CMLL in a separate video if you guys want to learn more Roux. That was a sad H-perm. Anyways, most people use CFOP, and this tutorial is meant to help people going into cubing to start with Roux instead of the beginner's method, which is really similar to CFOP, and that's why most people switch to CFOP. Basically, the goal of this video is to get more people using Roux, so Roux could be a bit more developed method, because it is quite a cool concept where you solve 2 blocks, corners, and then you can do LSE. If you don't want to learn LSE, I will have a separate video that's probably going to be in the CMLL tutorial video, how to solve LSE. It is very intuitive, but if you don't like to do that, I just did a basic transformation from Roux to CFOP and completed a PLL. If you did the J-perm or Y-perm, you will most likely end up with a U-perm, Z-perm, or H-perm. So these are a bunch of example solves using beginner Roux, and I'm getting really good time. So you don't even have to learn that much algorithms. You could become sub 20. I think those were just lucky solves. Anyways, if you guys want, you can learn PLL, and then you can just completely skip the J-perm, Y-perm nonsense, and then you can lower your CMLL algorithms to around like maybe 15, doing 2-look CML, I think it's called. And then you could just do like a G-perm or like I don't know, any type of permutation that just solves the whole entire last layer. Quick lesson on notations for CFOP users or anyone who already knows how to cube. Just go to the timestamp in the description. For non-cubers or the ones that just picked up a cube and want to learn how to solve, this is going to be how you're going to maneuver the cube and follow algorithms. And they're basically just letters that shows or symbolizes what move you do. So on the Rubik's Cube, this is your front layer, your face, and that's going to be where you're going to be referring every single other letter from. So this is F, face, this is U, upper layer, this is D, down, this is R, right, this is L, left, this is B, back. And the way you do the moves from the notations is clockwise turns on that side is going to be represented by the capital letter. So R, clockwise turn. With a parentheses, that means prime or reverse, meaning counterclockwise turn. So F prime, B prime, and D prime, D prime. There are also special moves. This is R wide. And anytime you see or hear about a wide move, that's basically turning 2 layers at once. And they also have, there's basically a wide move for every regular turn on a Rubik's Cube. So this. And the wide moves are represented by lowercase letters. So like a lowercase r wide will be this. And there's a wide prime, and that is only for 3x3. For 4x4, there will be different notations and everything, so just keep in mind that lowercase r or lowercase letter is just a wide move on a 3x3. And then for the special moves, there are M, S, and E. So this is the middle layer, and basically it's represented by M, and it follows whatever letter is closest to it in the alphabet. So between L and R, because it's in between those 2 layers, it's close to L, and so it follows L. This is L, this is M, this is M prime. And then we have E, which also follows the the alphabet rule between U and D. And then we got S prime. I don't know which one is which, but it also follows the alphabet rule of F and B. And E stands for equatorial. However you pronounce that, I'll put it up on the screen. And then S, this is E, this is S, stands for standing layer. Now for piece identification. This is an edge piece. It is on the edge of the cube right there. I have a GAN cube, so it has this sweet honeycomb pattern, exposed magnets. This is a corner piece, and let's just put the edge back on right here, and it goes on the corner of the piece. So you can corner twist because there's nothing attaching it onto the core, which is the center piece connecting all the center caps together, because they're not connected, or else they will not be able to turn like this. This is the center of your cube. On any normal cube, like my completely destroyed some sort of random cube over here, you might have a screw. Well, I have the GAN cube, which has this GS nut system, with this hexagonal screw thing. So now the cube is scrambled, let's get into block building, which is the first step of Roux. Just kidding, finding your color scheme is the first step of Roux. So I'm doing this with green on the bottom, yellow on the left, red on the right, blue on the top, white on the front, and of course yellow on the back. I tried to make it with white on the bottom, but I sort of screwed it up and ended up with white on the front. So that's going to be the color scheme that I'll be teaching. If you guys want to see a color neutral tutorial or something like that, I could make one if you guys would just leave a like and leave a comment. It is totally free and doesn't hurt anyone. So if you guys learn advanced Roux, you should know basically what to start with. I mean, I'm not that good, but I'll assume you do something like this while inserting this piece right here. But since we are not doing advanced Roux, I'm going to just scramble this up a bit more. Alright. That is not scrambled. Okay, so what you want to do is find the bottom color that you have selected, which for us it's going to be green, and then the left side, because we're building our first block on the left, which is orange, and that green orange edge is right here. So we're going to just match it up with their correct center color and make sort of a mini block right here for a line. And then we're going to be finding the back slot colors, so it makes look at it easier for you guys that knows a lot of things. For the beginners, I'll be talking about a buffer position. For the more advanced people out there, there'll be a separate video, like always, telling you about these pairing techniques. But for us, our buffer position will be this color, left side color orange facing up, and then our corner getting that orange color to face up too, any way you like. So like if you see it down here, you can just move it up like that. If you see it back here, just move it up like that. And then once you have them both in the same layer, you want to just move this, take M slice to save that down here, and then you move this corner orange facing up to the right side, and then you move that back up, so you can just move it in like that. Now for our second piece, same buffer position. I'm going to put this orange and white piece because that's going to be our center colors on the top, and then finding this, which I'm going to be putting on the top, but you cannot use the B move or the D move because that'll destroy the block. So we're going to be just putting it to the front and then moving it up like that, and then we're just going to save that in a random position. Meanwhile, we're going to put this white edge piece into its right position for insertion, and then we're going to just move the corner to the left this time, and then move this piece up into the block. Over here we have the next one, which is green red edge here, right here, and then I'm going to just move this into the top layer, and then we're going to invert we're going to be inverting our buffer positions between the two corners now. And then when we put it over to, now we have this pair after doing that M saving sort of thingamajig. We're going to just put it to the back, so there you see the pair in the back, and we're going to do a wide R prime and then insert it with a U prime and then put it back up like that. Then now we're going to just move it just a tiny bit more, and you can just keep on doing R and U to get the corner up to the top layer, and then you could just do M, or M prime, which will put the other edge up onto the U layer, and then you're just going to save that, and then you're going to insert this with a wide R. The other one I think was wide R prime. Sorry about that, guys. Wide R, U, a U, and then R. And then now we have both of the blocks inserted in 4 minutes. Now it's on to CMLL. Time to get serious as the algorithm starts rolling in. First algorithm that you guys will be learning is going to be just a PLL from CFOP, and that's going to have 2 headlights, which is, if you guys don't know what headlight is 2 colored corner piece that is the same color facing one direction in the particular pieces that we need to look at. In CMLL, just these 4 corners. And so you see headlights over here facing towards the left, while other side they're just messed up. And then all blues are on the top. It's basically a CMLL skip, but it's not full CMLL skip. But it's called a O case, and what you do is a J perm, and the algorithm is R, U, R prime, F prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R2, U prime, R prime. And that's basically swaps these 2 corners around, and it should be solved for CMLL anyways. Next, we have a Y perm, or a diagonal swap, where you have this checker pattern between your 2 opposite colors, and it swaps these 2 corners diagonally. You can put it in any type of position that you like because it swaps these corners, and when it does a diagonal swap, you don't really need any actual positioning on the top. So what you do is F, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R, F prime. Alright. For our first actual CMLL case, this is called the H case, where you have 2 headlights facing in the opposite directions. What you want to do is just face one set of the headlights to you, and then you want to do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. Basically, F triple sexy move, and then undo the F. And if you guys don't know what sexy move is, it's basically R, U, R prime, U prime, and it's called that because you can just do it a bunch of times really fast. After you've done that, it should put all the blues to the top, and then you can just do a swap between these corner pieces to complete CMLL. Like I said, subscribe if you guys want to see the actual CMLL tutorial for full CMLL, where you could just do an algorithm and just completely solve the whole entire top layer without having to do any sort of swaps in an O case. This is a pie case where you have 2 headlights and then 2 pieces just pointing opposite directions. And when you get this, you just want to put the headlights onto your left side and then do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. So basically F, 2 sexy move, undo F. And then for our next case, it will be the U case, and that's when we have headlights facing to the left and headlights facing up. What you want to do is put the headlights facing up to your right, and then just do F, R, U, R prime, U prime, F prime. F and 1 sexy move, and then we can see here that it is a diagonal swap. Alright, our next one is a T case, and that's when you have 2 pieces facing away from each other and headlights facing up. What you want to do is R, U, R prime, U prime, R prime, F, R, F prime. And then we have a J perm. Alright, and after that is S case, where you have 1 blue corner facing up and 1 facing U. And what you do is R, U, R prime, U, R, U2, R prime. And then solved. Alright, after that we have anti-S, which is basically 1 dot of blue corner on the lower left side, which is also where you're going to be doing this algorithm from. And then you have this blue corner pointing away from you this time. And what you do is R prime, U prime, R, U prime, R prime, U, R prime, F, R, F prime, U, R. And that puts it all to the top. And for our last case, this is an L case where you have two blue corners with blue facing up, diagonal from each other, and then one facing you on the left. And you want to hold this case with the one blue corner facing you on the left, not the one on the right. And then you will do F, R, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime, and do a J prime. And that should be basically all the cases for CMLL. Now let's do LLC. Before we get started with LLC, I want to show you guys about good edges and bad edges. So these are bad edges where they don't have green or blue on the top or the bottom because those are the colors that we need. And there can only be a maximum of 6 and a minimum of none. And that's because we already have these ones all solved. And there's only even numbers of bad edges. There's no odd numbers of bad edges. And if you see a blue edge, just looking at this face, that means this is a bad edge because there's no way a blue could be down here or if a green could be down here if the color or the opposite color is on this side of the edge. Let's get started with the first algorithm. This is going to be the 6 bad edges, and it's going to be R, U prime, wide R prime, U prime, M prime, U, wide R, U, wide R prime. And that should solve all of them to a state where they're going to be good edges, even if they're not in the right spots. And our second case will be the arrow case. And this is going to be the most simple case out of all of them. And this is just 3 moves, which is M, U, M prime. And it could just be any cycle of M, U, or M prime. And if you start with M prime, or if you start with M instead of M prime, it'll put the arrow to the back, so you could just do a mirrored version of that in order to do the back case. Alright, next we have 4 edges that are bad. These 2 are on the bottom, and these 2 are on the top. And you want to have the 2 edges on the top pointing to the left and the right, while the ones on the bottom just facing you and the other side. And then this is going to be using the algorithm M prime, U2, M prime, U2, M, U, M prime. And that will change this to an arrow case, which then you can just continue like that. And then next up we have two cases, but only those 2 on the bottom. And that's going to be done with M prime, U, M prime, U prime, M, U prime, M prime. And that should just solve the whole entire thing. If not, just do an arrow case to end it off. And then we have the 4 bad edges on the top case, none on the bottom. And that's done by M prime, E2, M prime, E2, M prime, U prime, M prime. And that should solve it. Or it'll bring you to an arrow case, which then you can just solve it from there. Now for 2 bad edges on the top, that can be solved with M prime, U, M, U prime, M prime, U prime, M prime. And if this doesn't solve, just do an arrow case, because it should lead up to there. And then now, for 2 on the top, but they are right next to each other in a sort of diagonal across from each other like this. What you do is M prime, U, M prime, E2, M prime, U, M prime, and that should solve it. And then if you get a case like this, you just do the mirrored version of what I'm going to be showing here. I'm just going to flop that around to the front one, so the bad edge is in front and the other bad edge is in the back. So the regular one is M prime, U prime, M prime, U prime, M, U prime, M prime, and that should solve it. And then if you have 2 bad edges on the bottom and 2 diagonal on the top, what you do is M2, U prime, M prime, U prime, M prime. And that should be all of the LLC algorithms in order to turn all the bad edges to good edges. Somehow I lost my mouse, so I'm gonna get another one from CFOP Shop. Just kidding, I probably just misplaced it or something. Once you have converted all the bad edges into good edges, they should end up with something like this, where there's only just green and blue on the top or the bottom. So what you want to do first is align the centers and have the blue center on the top. And then you just want to swap out these edges into the bottom piece. So the green goes on the green center side, and the blue stays on the blue face. So what you see down here is blue. And in actual advanced Roux, you won't have to do this, so you don't have to go looking down all the time. But what you want to do is find the blue piece, and then just put the green piece right on top of that. And then you just do M or M prime, U2, and then reverse the move that you did. And that should put all the blues on top and all the greens on the bottom. If you for some reason have these two edges swapped, so there's yellow here and that does not belong there, all you have to do is M2, U2, M2, and that'll swap those two pieces. If you have two edges like this, then you know for sure that the other two will be down here, and then you can just go swap both of them, and you'll be done. If you have this sort of L, you should just transform it like that, and you should be done, and then just swap the cross pieces. That's what you'll call in CFOP, but you could call it whatever you like because it's just the edge in the end. Once you have completed putting all the blues onto the top and then putting the cross pieces where they need to be, that will be what I'll be referring it to because that's what they technically are, you'll be left with one of these 4 cases. The first case that I'll be showing you guys is a Z-perm, and this is one of the worst cases out of all of them. So there are 2 different types of Z-perms, so I'll show, but I'm only going to be showing you guys one because it could do the same thing. If you get a case where you have swaps over here, all you do is just disalign the top layer by 1 and then do the Z-perm. The one that I'll be showing you guys swaps these 2 edges with each other and then these 2 edges with each other. I cannot talk. The algorithm is M2, U prime, M2, U prime, M prime, U2, M2, U2, M prime, U2. And that's just all. And then if you guys didn't know what I was talking about for the other Z-perm, that's when there's 2 swaps here, and all you have to do is just misalign it, so go like that, and then you just continue with your algorithm, and that should solve it. Next up is the U-perm. So there are 2 U-perms. One swaps the edges like this to the left, and one swaps the center edge to the right and swaps all of them like that. So the one that we have here swaps this edge to the left, and so we'll be doing the algorithm, which includes a U prime after the M2 in the beginning. And that's how I remember the algorithm is that whichever way it swaps, so it swaps to the left, you want to turn the opposite direction. So the algorithm is M2, U prime, M, U2, M prime, U prime, M2. And now for our second U-perm case, this one swaps this edge to the right, and then it's basically just like the other one, but you swap the U moves. So this one is M2, U, M, U2, M prime, U, M2, and that should solve it. Now for the last case, this will be a H-perm, and you shouldn't have any other cases if you did that J-perm, Y-perm conversion thing. And this is where it swaps 2 edges across from each other, and the algorithm is M2, U prime, M2, U2, M2, U prime, M2. And I think this is basically the easiest one out of all of them because it's just a quick cycle between M and U moves. And this is a lot of people's favorite PLO because of the easiness it is. The algorithm is on top of the screen. It looks pretty easy compared to all the other algorithms, which are pretty difficult that when you look at it, but they are really fast once you get good at it. And that's about it for my beginner's Roux tutorial. For any type of cuber, whether you just picked up a cube yesterday, today, or if you have been cubing for years and you just wanted to check out the Roux method and just have fun. So if you guys enjoyed the video, please hit that like button. Leave a comment of what you guys want to see next, or what questions that you guys have for me. Just scroll down and then leave it below this video. While you're at it, just like the video, subscribe, and turn on that bell notification thingamajig so you can get future notifications of when I post new videos that will help you get better at Roux. See you guys next time. Bye!